Hello again. It's me. Okay. Oh god. Ooh. Come on. Let's get. There we go. So, yeah. Okay. Let's check this out. Okay. There we go.
Alex from Clockwork Orange, freshly out of prison and rehabilitated, landed a new job as an elf at Santa's fulfillment center, courtesy of Amazon. His job was to ensure all the presents would come from their Byzantine network of bins and coalesce into sets of packages ready for deployment, and all watched over by machines of worker surveillance and compliance. Alex had put on the perfected Mr. Lovechild-esque elven look for his job as an elf, but still needed to be outfitted with the official costume. Today, he had received the traditional satin leggings with bells on them, but had yet to receive the signature elven topcoat. Being that his prior position had involved lots of public displays of obedience and adherence to company policies, he knew how important it was to be cohesive in appearance, but after a few days working alongside other, more seasoned elves, Alex realized there was more to the process. Once they had successfully passed through the daily production levels, the workers of the fulfillment center were directed to the Santa Shuffle Room, where they would go about memorizing a series of songs and actions to impress the families and children who arrived to meet and greet Santa. Alex enjoyed the excitement of the small children meeting the cheerful department store edition of Old Saint Nick, but still was unsure of how his individual contribution to this ritual fit into the narrative. After a week on the job, Alex received the message that his elf outfit was ready. He hustled through the hubbub of the fulfillment center and made his way to the dressing room. Once he had the green satin topcoat on, Alex stood in front of the mirror and truly felt the character come to life. He adjusted the Johnny Bell-adorned hat, twirled his black mustache, and burst back out into the chaotic hum of the fulfillment center with an added pep in his step. After 2 weeks, Alex had mastered the movements and dance numbers necessary for the Santa Shuffle Room, emulating the others with ease. His elvish colleagues began to take note of his versatility and stage presence, and Alex was becoming hopeful that this elfin stint would soon lead him to greater heights. But just as quickly as he was flourishing as the showpiece of the store, disaster struck. Alex had been instructed to help children write letters to Santa. Suddenly, one little boy looked up from his writing and screamed, "Alex from Clockwork Orange wasn't arrested for reindeer ranching. He's a very serious serial killer who sliced and diced his way across Europe," prompting the boy's father to cancel the family's trip to Santa's fulfillment center until the truth was cleared up. Back in the elf-filled dressing room, Alex looked around and realized his future prospects as an elf performer were rapidly unraveling. How could he ever come back from such a backstepping stunt? As Alex resigned to his fate of being tossed back out into the pristine and icy streets, he remembered the good nature of his holiday cheer. Determined not to lose his magic, he contacted his elfin friends to start a joint campaign with the local gangs. in which the unsuspecting gangsters would find a mysterious green box under their tree containing nothing but eggnog and disappointment. While his personal relationship with Mr. St. Nicholas may be rocky, Alex's new path of mischief and wonder seemed endless, even as the holidays faded and turned into New Year's night. His star was rising once more. All the while, the bins of Santa's fulfillment center still spun behind him, filled with memories of elves, and a lesson of what happens when people don't look underneath the mask. Alex will need an outrageous act of good faith to perform. His willingness to seek absolution through humbling acts of penance paved the way for a forgiving but wary community to welcome him back with open arms. However, his need to fulfill the penitence checklist also drew the attention of some who wished to take advantage of his vulnerable state, making Alex from Clockwork Orange a target for trouble that threatens to resurface throughout his search for meaning and salvation. Ultimately, Alex finds that his attempts at redemption require a constant struggle between rehabilitation and self-perseverance. In a world where a permanent scar lies upon his face and soul, he wonders if he will ever fully be accepted back into society, or if his efforts to reintegrate himself into the stream of living will simply cause more harm than good. Ultimately, Alex realizes that his criminal past will always hang over him like a dark cloud, and he must accept that his desire for absolution may never be fully realized. However, he continues his efforts to make the world a better place, determined to use his experiences to help those less fortunate than himself. Alex's journey will remain an unforgettable story of redemption, resilience, and above all else, the indomitable power of love and hope in the face of adversity. He remains a figure of wonder with a heart that soars higher than the stars and a sense of compassion that can lift up anyone he comes across. But no matter how much good he does, a piece of his past will always remain a part of his identity, and a reminder of how a single bad decision can lead to a lifetime of redemption and recovery.
Or hundreds.
Alex applies to be a Krampus apprentice. After his prison stint for his criminal past as Alex from Clockwork Orange, Alex took to reforming his behavior. He regularly attended workshops and events related to the transformation of characters, and now seeks opportunities to rehabilitate further. Despite the hesitation of many, Alex's true efforts have gained recognition. Now, he is applying to be a Krampus apprentice at Mr. Klaus's workshop in Helsinki, where he hopes to learn the ropes of this legendary figure and its connection to tradition. Upon Alex's arrival at the workshop, he met many quirky characters, including Dagmar, an ex-Krampus from Zurich who got kicked out for eating too many gingerbread men, and Boris, a soft-spoken reindeer who knew the traditional ways of Krampus firsthand. Between the unique stories and magical moments, Alex started to believe that maybe he truly belonged in the spirit of Christmas. After a few days, Mr. Klaus decided to give him a test. He would take Alex to the Arctic Circle, where the annual Christmas fair was in full swing. Alex and Mr. Klaus met with the other Krampuses, all wrapped up in their Hagströmplaner stockings and ready to descend on the streets below. As the chilling night sky turned into a smudgy pre-dawn morning, Alex went along with the Krampuses to hand out wits, candy canes, and treats to the revelers below. Alex studies Krampus performance studies with Udo Kier. During his time at the Krampus school, Alex learned that there were several stages to the Krampus ceremony. First, the Krampus went around their village, chasing everyone with a terrifying face and a burgeoning belly. As the energy rose and excitement grew, the children had a short time to prepare themselves, before the event climaxed with a Christtorture, a brawl between the Krampuses and the people. But Alex wanted to get closer to the heart of the holiday. Udo Kier, You must get down behind the eyes. Don't be the monster they expect. Be something more. As the spirit of Krampus sat heavy upon Alex, he devised a plan. While the others chased and hunted the children, Alex approached each person one-on-one, his face in a goofy smile, his horns barely growing on his head. There was no magic in his words, no scary growl or creeping snarl. His mission was simply to make eye contact. You don't care. Okay, let us do a scorched exercise. You watch Krampus perform on the street, and I will stand on top of this rock and monologue. As the moments passed, Alex noticed that the magic of the night began to wane. His counterparts started getting sloppy. One kid slipped out from their path. Another jumped away before a hit. But still, Alex remained steady. He remembered the quote from Udo Kier.
Out of all monsters, we can remember Krampus as the one who sees behind the eyes of children.
For the children are the real monsters, are they not? Well, it felt odd for the statement to be thrown at him now. Alex held on to it. It gave him confidence. It showed him the power of patience and genuine care. As he reached the climax of his month-long apprenticeship, Alex started to understand the real reason why they celebrate the Krampus. When a child had him cornered, his head covered in flowers, a little pink skirt worn over his skinny jeans, Alex only felt love. In a way, he understood the inner chaos of the child. Udo monologued the actions of the child that begged for the beating. A true hero knows how to speak with their fists. He monologued that Krampus had left a legacy for the world to remember. That even monsters could be a savior. And as the summer breeze tousled his hair, Alex wondered when he had really learned to dance. When did he become a part of the magic and not just a flop upon the streets? This was the essence of his life as a Krampus apprentice. A moment that helped shape him into who he is now, and forever after, until the end of time. In the year of 2021, Alex may find himself once again called to join his companions for the fateful rituals of Krampus and Christmas. He looked forward to the time he can wear the wits and horns with ease, and to the joy of reconnecting with his past once more. Perhaps he can meet a friend like Krampus. To know that underneath it all, there is something far more complex than a holiday scuffle between monsters and misfits. There is the idea that even monsters can be just as silly and fantastical as anything else in the season spirit. And the thought comforts Alex on his journey toward a brighter tomorrow, filled with endless possibilities and memories he will cherish until the very end. So, put on your horns and whip your belly. Join Alex from Clockwork Orange in the celebration of Krampus, and remember that with every step you take, you are getting closer and closer to becoming one of the many legends who make this holiday the unforgettable spectacle that it is. From a group of Krampuses celebrating, it goes out to the stars. Tutorial complete. Now it is your turn. Begin. What follows are words upon a page. Please speak them as clearly and loudly as possible. The audience is waiting for your Krampus performance. Well, yes, the idea was simply to portray the essence of Krampus through speech and action. Whether it's talking about its lineage and the way it interacts with people throughout the world, the point is to highlight the character and mythology of Krampus as a symbol of something much more significant than just a naughty yet nice creature. Herd of violent children have been released! Go to! Go to! Do everything to scare them away! Come on! Quick! Start running! Call the Krampus! Alex the elf? One day, after many hours of preparations, rehearsals, and carefully crafted presentations, the Krampus company sent their most popular member, Alex, out into the streets of Munich to audition for a coveted role in Krampus the musical. But just as Alex was practicing his first verse, a group of uncontrollable, vandalizing children were spotted in the background. Alex realized that this moment was critical to his audition. If he were to overcome this herd of back-end ruffians, he would be made for life as a Krampus sensation. It was all a matter of survival of the fittest, and Alex was determined to win. Alex from Clockwork Orange to Krampus! Kill them all! Ride with me into the battle of destiny, and we'll strike our enemies with fierce intensity. Be brave and proud, and show them all how we're really an image of perfection in this war. Stand firm with your whip in hand, and let your costume stand like a light in the night. Do what it takes to make this moment our very own. We'll walk together and fight as one, in a mission of strength and love. Because we know that we were created to conquer and to become more than just a concept. So let's unleash our inner magic and show them all the power of being Krampus. Innocent, in danger, strangled by those who don't believe that we belong. Udo Kier gives Alex some notes. 1. Look menacing and malicious while delivering a threat. 2. Growl low in the back of your throat when turning your attention on the target of your intentions. 3. Gurgle slightly when extending your whip to the fullest length. Alex gave the suggestion some thought and decided to implement them in his performance. With his audience in front of him, he growled and started stomping his feet like a madman. His gurgling grew louder as he whipped at his target, a child drenched in the blood of their enemies. His face was contorted with rage and vengeance, his body inflated with bloodthirsty glory. The child was stunned by Alex's intimidating display, but refused to be afraid. He stared Alex straight in the eyes and roared like a lion in battle, his chest rising with valor. And as the tension rose, Alex felt his anger simmer and a strange pride take over. For, deep down, he knew that he had accomplished what he had set out to do. He had brought fear and awe to his audience, and had truly earned his place as a Krampus legend. For Krampus always rises in the face of adversity. It rises in the name of strength, of justice, and of redemption. And it is here, now, in this moment, that Alex becomes part of this iconic symbol. For in him resides the courage and the determination to make this world a better place, one growly yell and vicious jab at a time. So here's to you, Mr. Krampus, and to the people who make him possible. And let us continue to live in the spirit of our demonic friend, even if it's only for a fleeting moment on the streets of Christmas City. You can put any refuse in the Alfalfa Memorial refuse bin. Keep it going, keep it strong. Darth Vader look-alike. Only a disgruntled and nefarious character with an knack for causing havoc would know how to steal Santa's cookies, exclaimed Reindeer Runty at a celebration for Saint Nick, and it wasn't long until Alex was spotted as the ultimate culprit. For years, Alex had perfected the art of snatching Santa's goodies, and nobody was the wiser. As a longtime criminal who had perfected the art of masking, Alex was able to pass off his guilt to anyone else in the presence of elves and other characters in the world of Christmas. Reindeer Runty stood to demand a criminal investigation. She questioned whether or not Santa's reign over the North Pole was a necessary evil and argued for radical changes to the cloud system. But before any trial could begin, a swarm of reindeer started patrolling the elves. They sniffed and searched until they eventually discovered Alex's long, crinkled nose. Rondi pointed accusingly at the creature, shouting that his distinctive appearance should have been evidence enough of his guilt. "It's no use trying to hide from me, Snowbeard," exclaimed Runty. "I will catch you one day, and when I do, I'll make sure to put you in a warmer place." The rest of the festival patrons murmured in shock at Alex's duplicity. "You are no Santa," spat Nico as Alex was carted off by the elves. A sudden silence fell upon the scene, followed by an uneasy, ominous rumble of questions and outrage from the gathered masses. Before Alex could plead his innocence, he was removed from the scene by the reindeer police and escorted into the town center. Later that night, Alex found himself standing in a jail cell, facing the towering stare of Mr. Fussivants, the captain of the prison guards. "I will make you regret the day you set foot in my mountains," Fussivants exclaimed, with a harsh snarl that sent chills down Alex's spine. The next day, as a warden marched Alex toward the snowbank at the outskirts of town, he remembered back to the morning of his fateful crimes and how his efforts to act the way his alter ego, Jim Jack, would have during his regular mischievous adventures had only landed him in jail. Despite the cold and empty desolation that awaited him at the end of this march, Alex couldn't help but reflect on his mistakes and recognize that the consequences of his actions were directly a result of his choices. He had committed a series of crimes, and this was the time to pay for his misdeeds. Extraordinary rendition of Alex by the elves. It was the great elves who saw the crime syndicate for what it was, and now, in a coordinated effort to bring the villain to justice, they launched a sting operation that infiltrated Alex's ring. Undercover elves dug deep, pretending to be interested in distributing magical sand in order to gain his trust and further his crimes. However, things went sour when Alex uncovered their deception. With their mission jeopardized, the elves were forced to initiate extraordinary rendition to transport the villain from Earth to Christmas' notorious Supermax facility in the North Pole. In the shadow of an icy fortress, Alex faced a line of burly elves who presented their iron fists and ice picks in warning. With his hands up and his face pale, the former demon sensed a cold he had never experienced before. As the clock struck midnight, Alex couldn't shake the sinking feeling that he was about to face the worst side of Christmas yet. Unbeknownst to the elves, a mysterious figure was watching from the shadows, ready to strike at the villains who dared to upset the balance of the holiday. During the New Year's Eve parade, as the horns blew and the clock chimed 12, a bright explosion erupted in the air, sending shards of magic glass tumbling down on the crowds. Alex stepped out into the bright light, his red horns curling from his head, his leathery wings and tail whipping out behind him. The sinister creature raised his fist, shouting in triumph. But he wasn't alone. From the debris, a glowing green shape emerged, larger and more foreboding than anything Alex had ever seen before. The monster bore red claws and wings, with a horn spiraling from his head and his teeth gleaming in the light. They charged toward each other, their screams of fury echoing through the street. and reaching all the way to the North Pole, where the jagged castle stood amidst the white frost. As the sound of metal against claw resonated through the sky, a realization dawned on the world. Christmas would never be the same again. Alex met the beast in force, and strikes turned into smooches. They were making out. Confused, the two called a truce and split to investigate what was going on. It turned out that, somehow, both of them were being controlled by a mischievous jester, and they had simply acted on his will to butt heads. The two monsters looked up at the jester and grabbed their whips in unison. Then, as a true partnership was forged, the demons began the long road to forgiving their past mistakes and learning to trust each other once again. After all, it was Christmas time, and in this time of forgiveness and joy, anything was possible. Bugs Bunny. If he gets anywhere near bugs or our food, I'll kill him and feed him to my guard rabbit. Oh, yes, I am a hunter by night. Wahoo! Now, if I could only find the carrot of wealth. Excuse me, Carlisle, I am a little hungry. Come over here and give me a snuff. Snuff is big money. Okay, Carlisle, the answer is in the top of my bedazzled hat. Here is a pot of guacamole. Enjoy. Elvis Dairy Day Show in Brooklyn. To being 21 Memphis meets Buckner Road. Sweet treat of nostalgia swells city hearts. Clad in velvet and tight leather, our king was born in a glitter and glitter room, gliding in and out of Memphis back alley stucco row, wailing and grinding and turning, twirling away the years with baby kicks and starry eyes. From his shabby granary days, our superstar was destined to make waves across the universe, bringing people from far and wide to bask in the legendary warmth of his vocals and dapper style. So light up the disco ball and pull on those lucky socks, 'cause it's time for the king to rule Brooklyn, where the past comes alive to bring out the present and a future full of delight. Well, speaking of that, here's a bacon for your ear. Let's munch on some cheese. Let's rev up that rhythm box and lose ourselves in a tap dance with chocolate mou lips dripping golden syrup and butter.
Oh, what's it called?
Elvis orders some chicken wings with buffalo sauce in Flatbush, and goes to get it on his own. He arrives at the restaurant, sweaty and tense. Elvis surveys the scene around him, spotting two cars parked diagonally, obscuring the rest of the parking lot. His shirt sticks to his back with beads of moisture. He adjusts his coiffure and hikes up his high-top platform shoes as he shuffles towards the entrance. He glances at the neighboring karate studio and recognizes his buddy Andy Jackson working a punching bag in his old boxing shoes, seemingly lost in his own sweaty zone. He steps inside the restaurant, flanked by arcade machines and disco balls. He settles into a booth with plastic orange cushions, feeling the hunger bite at him as he peruses the menu. But suddenly, an enticing smell interrupts his reading. Elvis opens his eyes and sees Andy serving him a plate of spicy chicken wings prepared to his liking. He happily digs in and smacks his lips in anticipation. Andy grins and takes a seat next to him, pouring him a glass of iced tea. "Happy 45th anniversary, my good pal," he smiles. "Never thought you'd make it here, back in my mom's small corner of New York, especially after our little run-in with that rogue roach, huh?" "Thank you kindly, dear Andy," Elvis chuckles, patting him on the arm. "Glad I stopped in. They say this is the best chicken fried bacon mac and cheese smother sandwich place in town, though it smells like the fried bananas curry potpourri too." "Oh. Huh?" Andy lets out a whooping laugh, clapping his friend on the back. "Well, our treat," he says, "if you'd like to stay and feast with me, son. That garlicky buffalo sauce sure knows how to get the sweet tooth going." Later, the two lifelong friends and chefs reminisce about their time together on the playground, climbing the mulberry trees and catching dragonflies, riding scooters and skateboards in Andy's brother's man cave garage, pretending to be wrestlers, or beating down evil robots or mischief. Ruse dragons. As the night falls and the city lights up, Elvis basks in the glory of their past. So many memories flooded his mind, from the early fights and dance contests to the first puke in front of the 5th grade math teacher. Life had always had such joy and intensity, despite its many difficulties. And as the city's skyline blurred in his tired eyes, he felt grateful for the richness of experience and friendship that could only be found in Brooklyn. Meanwhile, Andy fondly remembers all the dishes they made, starting in his childhood kitchen on Staten Island, with their grandmother's pots and pans, and transitioning to Andy's late grandfather's BBQ stove, while his family believed that cooking was an unnecessarily flashy performance, and he was determined to show them just how amazingly delicious it could be. He soon befriended a couple of magicians, learning how to quickly execute dishes from one plate to the next and display it as a whole buffet table, much to his family's surprise and horror. His 2-decade culinary journey in Brooklyn soon led him to mix music with Elvis in his rock star persona and then unite them both to create an innovative approach to performing and cooking. It was Andy who taught Elvis how to smoke ribs and shred jalapenos to put on tacos. And together, they mastered the art of braising guacamole, slanging, and creative food truck antics that kept their crowds coming back for more. Their performance style, their innovation, their sheer charisma. It was infectious and almost surreal, elevating the crowd beyond a mindless flock and into a living, breathing throng of devotees. As the story ends and the duo decide to call it a night, the prospect of a potential sequel arises. With their talents honed and their senses refreshed, they resolve to combine their powers in an amazing recipe and take their community and show on the road, spreading joy and kindness with each plated meal and raving review. Perhaps their quirky odd couple act could make it onto the Brooklyn stage. Stranger things had happened. Herman Joster a zombie straw. There is nothing more special than a smile on a baby's face, but an adult smile may inspire awe and fear. Despite their best efforts, adult smiles, fangs included, rarely endear children. After 5 centuries of serving under Dracula and his entourage, Joestar finally comes up with an ingenious way to make scary smiles manageable. He created a giant bite-resistant, anti-gummy bite-proof elixir to dispel the dread of it all. And boy was it effective. While in Boston, the smile on everyone's face could only be described as abysmal. Elvis and Andy's Chicken and Great Circle. The fusion of soul and Bahamian cuisine is slowly bringing smiles to even the grumpiest of hearts. Oh my, that garlicky bacon mash is melting my palate. Goodness, bless the soul for putting our favorite pickles and shanks into the fried bananas curry souffle. praises one delirious customer. The food's aroma alone was enough to brighten anyone's spirits, but Elvis's creative dessert-renewing formula was what sent the rest of his patrons to Heaven's Gate. Times Square Litter Boy Disco Night at Radioactive Litter Bun. All systems are go! It's time for you and your friends to stop frowning and start grinning. My trusty litter bun and his love bugs will definitely light up the city. They're so good, you won't know whether you should spin or jump for joy. Believe it or not, I'm also part magician. Watch me make your glasses vanish, your bad vibes disappear, and your wallet vanish faster than ever. Come one, come all. Let's bring some color and zing back into this grim old town. New year, new flavor. Let's add a twist of bitterness to it, oh ho. Let's dust off the disco balls and burn the buffers away and dance until the new year shows its pearly tea and golden garters. No frowning allowed, no sob stories or tears. Bring a positive attitude and a dance partner. Show me what you got, and let me take you on a memorable ride. Chef Andy bailed out dandelion and rhubarb with one swift hit to the jaw. Immediately, his minions recoiled in horror. To save the starving goblins from starvation and exploitation, Andy formed an underground society of rescue chefs and transported the poor critters to a hidden grove deep within the Goblin Mountains. Back in her old hobbit hut, Dandelion embraced Andy as a savior and a dear friend. The littlest goblins took to his good nature, while Rhubarb hummed back, secretly salivating at the very thought of delicious human meat. In the meantime, Joster's zombie straw solution became the talk of the town. Had a local rally in Philadelphia. Hundreds of adults donned their fang gear and participated in a smiling competition. At least someone has figured out how to lighten us up. Maybe there's still hope, quipped the organizer. The crowd cheered at the irony, causing the ground to shake with laughter. And as the months passed, it became clear that these smiles were not only infectious, but curative. Elvis serves man only as last resort. He has devoted his energy and resources to creating not just a chicken bowl, but a chicken bowl culture. He works day and night to teach his underlings the joy and craft of cooking, giving each young goblin the skills needed to achieve their culinary dreams. Their cuisine continues to change and adapt, becoming less about mashed potatoes and fried chicken and more about elaborate sculptures made entirely of fruits and vegetables. With each ripple on the pond of history, the craft of foodology becomes closer and closer to something spectacular. Of course, Elvis is careful not to get too fancy, reminding his employees that every goblin needs a certain simple pleasure, such as homemade blue cheese gravy or butter-drenched green beans. So, take a stroll through Eddie's garden of bloom and plant the seeds of pleasure. Let your own joy bloom in harmony with his. In the middle of it all, Josta pops in and demonstrates a wicked smile, ensuring that happiness will always be achieved no matter what direction you follow. Meanwhile, Elvis and Andy reunite and organize a show for their friends and families, uniting them all in a space dedicated to nothing but joy and laughter. Their unique blend of magic, theater, and flavor tickles every palate. So, stop wandering about and settle in. Your favorite dish is waiting for you at the dining table, and the show is about to begin. Elvis and Andy decided to cut back on serving guests and open up a food truck that could accommodate their new tastes and inventions. Like two witches conjuring up a banquet, they managed to create a dazzling menu of organic and healthy dishes for everyone.
Alright, that's it for now.